What is up, YouTube? And today I'm here to tell you to stop building your SSR characters. Now, I don't mean that, you shouldn't build any at all. Of course, you still want to build them, but a big issue that a lot of people have when starting this game, me myself included, I have a lot of regrets about this as well, is just overbuilding SSRs. You get a ton of summons just by playing the game, and because of that, you can actually fill out your roster with a ton of SSRs. Me, I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 SSRs. Of course, I did spend a bit, so it's definitely higher than a lot of people for sure. But I built about like 4 or 5 of them, even 6 of them, 7 of them. And let me say, this is a huge mistake that you guys should try to avoid making. And it's very hard to avoid making because if we look at tier lists on the game together here, especially from Pridewin, you're going to see that, for example, we have, let me actually make this easier to see. You're going to see that we have a lot of SSRs in the top tier. If you look at just Aurora, pretty much all SSRs. If you look at generic PvE, all SSRs, right? You kind of get what I'm saying, but you have to notice, be very, very astute about what you're looking at here. The DPSs are almost exclusively SSRs, besides one in like Dieting, which is like down here. But the supports and debuffs have a lot of SR options, even the healers and sustainers. And there's a really, really good reason for this. So SR characters in itself, they have very good utility a lot of the time. They're not going to do the most damage because their base stats are low, but you're going to notice that their utility is going to actually be pretty good, right? If we look at some of the SSRs, for example, Dinah has like a defense break, which is very good, which can also boost the attack of whoever's attacking. She can steal turn meter. You have Chiaki the Echo, who's just a dedicated support with attack buff and turn meter pushing. So you can kind of see what I'm getting at. A lot of the SRs are built to support, and those are the ones that are going to be good. That's mostly because the SSR damage dealers just cannot compete with the SSR damage dealers. The SR damage dealers cannot compete with the SSR ones because the SSRs just naturally have better base stats, and their skills are going to be a lot better when you max them out. However, if you look at the tier list again here, I'm here to tell you, if we look at this, for example, if we go back to Doki Doki, that this is kind of wrong. So right now it has, Kloss on the same tier as like Kazuyo, Marvel, even like being above Kraken and Gray. I'm here to tell you that all 4 of these SRs are probably just better than Kloss right now. And well, why would that be, right? Kloss is a higher rarity, right? She's SSR, her skills look way more broken, and she definitely has to be better, right? Well, let's actually dive into why that's a problem, especially right now when it hasn't been that long since the game's release. So just looking very simply at it, Kloss is S3. It's probably like her best ability. Same with Kazuyo's, right? It's a 5-turn cooldown with no investment. And you're going to see if I do invest heavily into her, sure, this is going to be super broken, right? You have 100% defense break, 100% speed break, and you have this like hacking progress that is super annoying and very, very strong. However, if we look at Kazuyo here, I don't have to say if this was maxed out. It's maxed out, and there's a good reason for this, right? When this is maxed out, it's just going to be better than Kloss's when it's not when hers isn't maxed out. You have the 5-turn cooldown, which is too long, and you have this 3-turn cooldown for a slightly worse effect, but it's not even slightly worse because you have level 2, level 3, level 4, which makes this it's going to be like just a lot better than Kloss, and almost at double frequency, which is super insane. And you're like, okay, why don't I just upgrade her ability then? That's the problem right now because it's so early in the game. So right now, to upgrade skills, actually like forever, you're going to have to use these lattices, and SSRs and SRs don't share the same lattice. So this makes it so that you have to really conserve the SSR perfect lattices, the golden ones, and the purple ones you get so much more of that you can kind of toss them around in a lot of units. Of course, you still want to make sure you're saving a bit, but you have a lot more freedom, which allows you to upgrade not only their skills, but the last like 2 nodes here, the last 3 nodes, which you wouldn't be able to get without enhancing their skills anyways, give you a ton of stats. I'm getting 1,000 base health here. I'm getting 20% effect accuracy here. If I look at another character, like let's look at Dinah, for example, she gets 12 speed from here and then 100 attack, which is not the biggest deal. You can kind of get what I'm saying. Those nodes give you a ton of stats, and also you're just getting the extra effects of that boosting your skill. So it's a lot easier to actually boost the skills of your SRs because the lattices are a lot easier to get for them, and you just get a ton more stats, which makes it so that they actually start outstatting your SSRs until you can build your SSRs. And yeah, you don't get a lot of these lattices, so you have to be very conservative with them. And for the most part, you're going to be putting these lattices into your main DPSs, right? Messiah is a big lover of these lattices. Lian, there's a reason why you reset it off her once you finish your quest, because you want those lattices back to invest into your Doki Doki DPS, whether it be Rosa, Messiah, or Romocha, right? Romoka, another DPS. This is one you're going to want to heavily invest into her S3 because she needs to one-shot stuff with her S3 to splash damage, right? So you kind of get what I'm saying. Your lattices are going to be mainly for your main DPSs and also like your premier PvP units, such as Lily, who's also, honestly, this is like the one exception. Lily is just so broken that you can probably just max out her S1 like I did and be fine. But like Mio, I'm starting to build as well because, you know, she needs a lot of these lattices to work. And a lot of the support ones really need it because support characters in general, skill cooldown on them is like the most important thing ever because they don't do any damage, right? They're just getting their skills effects off. So skill cooldown is so big, and the fact that you can't really do it on a lot of these SSR supports right now, but you can do it on these SRs, makes it so that those SR debuffers and supports and even sustainers are going to be a lot better for the most part, especially this early on into the game. Now, that's not going to be the case forever. I will say for sure, Kloss will end up being better than Kazuya later on. Maybe not even that much better because Kazuya is so good for Doki Doki. But in general, you're going to see that the tier list will hold true that they have on the website, even though it's slightly outdated. And a lot of SSRs will start to outshine their SR counterparts in what they do. A good example of this is like Mio. So Mio, she's like extremely powerful, one of the best LD characters in the game, top 3 for sure. The problem is she doesn't feel like that at all right now, and that's mostly because you don't have her skills maxed out. She's another support that really relies on landing her CCs, so she wants the skill cooldown, she wants the increased chance, but you just can't do that right now because it's just not efficient to upgrade her because you need to upgrade your DPS so you don't actually have the bosses living for forever, right? So, you know, I had Mio built for Doki Doki and I highly regret it because there's an SR character that does the same thing, kind of. He freezes as well, but you know, I can max this out. I could have like a 4-turn skill S3 AoE freeze, a 3-turn AoE, or not 3-turn, 3-turn single target freeze, right, and stuff like that, and like a defense break that is going to land all the time pretty much. But with Mio, I can't invest heavily into her, and that is purely because early on into the game, you have way more freedom building SR characters, which means that they're just better now because, you know, you just have way more lattices to upgrade their skills and also increase their stats. SSRs need heavy investment for the most part, and it's best to only invest into your DPS. So, yeah, SRs are going to be the way to go, and a lot of people actually just ignore them. And if we actually look at challenges here, I want to show you guys how much of an effect it has on the meta right now, especially because it's early on. Let's go to Doki Doki. Let's actually go to Hell 4. It's the hardest possible stage right now. I don't even have it done, and my account is pretty good. So you can see the top run has 2 SRs. The second clear, the second fastest run has 3 SRs. The third one has 2 SRs. The fourth one doesn't have more than 1, but that's okay. Let's keep going. The next one has 3. The one after has 3. The one after has 2. So you can kind of see you're using usually more than half of your team being SSRs, or half of your team being SRs. Holy, it's hard to say. SRs, SSRs, SRs, SSRs. But more than half of your team for Doki Doki, for the most part, should be SRs. Now, of course, there are exceptions, depending on what units you pull. Like, if you have Freya, you can probably bypass that and stuff like that. But if you're struggling in the game's progression right now, and you feel like you've hit a wall with some bosses, I'm telling you, just upgrade some of these SRs, and they are going to do wonders for you. And make sure you upgrade their skills as well. I think before I end the video, I'm just going to give you guys, you know, some really good ones that are going to help you right away. Kazuyo for sure for Doki Doki. Dinah is like extremely good for Terramaton if you're struggling there, or with Whitney and Nico, the shell farming places, right? The Grim Pursuits. Gray is also very good for Doki Doki and a lot of areas of content. His crit rate boost is super good early game, and that's because everyone's missing crit. Like my characters, you can see their crit chance is super scuffed. My Remoka doesn't have gear, but if you look at Messiah here, he's only at 37, right? Which is bad. My Hell Kid's only at 50, which is bad. So because of that, you know, Gray just helps this immensely. So you can kind of see SRs are super good. Chiaki is also very good in a lot of areas of content, especially Doki Doki. Kraken is decent. He's kind of specialized for Doki Doki, but he's still very good. Dining is one of the best single targets. I can go over this list over and over, but I think like, you know, just upgrading Dinah and also Chiaki and Kazuya would just do your wonders for, you know, the dungeons and stuff like that. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you guys invest more in SRs. It's way better, trust me. And also make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next video.